in our all-new for this weekend format, including Clubman, Pocket Rocket and Club classes in the Club session and the Pro classes in the Pro session. Of course, you may remember these used to be split up into 3 sessions. Today, with our incredibly packed and intense and just overall awesome schedule, that does mean that we're going to be running both Clubman, Pocket Rocket and Club all together at once. It should give us a lot of action here to see, and bear in mind this is only practice, so it doesn't count for any points, much like warm-up as well, but hopefully our drivers by now will be beginning to find their way around the track, understanding the track conditions that we're working with. Of course, what you can see is that the track does look quite dry compared with earlier today. And one of the challenges of driving on a circuit with changeable conditions like this is that when you're trying to set up your car, of course you want to get the setup right for the points scoring sessions, which in Time Attack are the qualifying and final. So it doesn't matter if the practice and the warm-up is dry. If you anticipate that the final sessions of the day, the ones that score big points, are going to be wet, you're going to try to second-guess that and perhaps give that car an approval. However, when the conditions are changeable like today, you just don't know what you're working with. So over the course of the day, your track is going to be changing. We saw this in the drifting today. As our drivers were putting down more and more rubber onto the track, you'd think that would make it more grippy, unless it's raining, in which case it makes it more slippy. And so what that means is during the course of the day, the challenge our drivers are facing is going to be changing, constantly dry. Is it going to be half and half? Is it going to be mildly moist? One of my favorite phrases that I've borrowed from Top Gear. Is it going to be mildly moist? Is it going to be dry? Is it going to be wet? And of course that means that your line is changing, your drive is changing, and the setup of your car is going to be changing throughout the day to try to make the most of the conditions and get that competitive advantage. So that's really what warm-up and practice here are for the drivers, just to try to get a feel of the situation. On your screen then you can see Eden Young in the GizFab K11 Micra, who retired earlier in warm-up. Now you may be wondering why that was. I had been down to the garage to try to understand what the problem was with the GizFab Micra, and actually, as it turns out, it was a broken gear change shaft. Now, it did have a bit of a kink in it. You know, it's one of those that bends towards the driver. It wasn't actually that. It was literally the solid rod of your gear lever that just snapped. It just sheared off. So clearly, Eden Young then piloting that thing. by strapping a turbocharger to that as well. So not only does it have the handling, it's got the power as well to go with that. And he is absolutely flying here around Brands Hatch. Let's take a look at our lap times then so far. We have Samuel Pickering then just picking that speed back up, trying to weave around to get that gravel, to get that muck off his tires, and to just get a feel for how his suspension is, just to diagnose whether anything happened there. Hopefully that should all be pretty smooth. Everyone comes off of Graham Hill. It's like an initiation, and I think really if you're not coming off of Graham Hill, if you're not getting sketchy through Graham Hill, then you're simply not trying hard enough. And if anyone tries hard enough, it is Samuel Pickering. That being said, he's going to have to try a little bit harder because Neil Greenland then has just pipped him to first place, and we'll come back to that in a sec because I think we might have Susie in the pit lane. Have you, what have you got for us, Susie?
Yeah, sorry, I've sorted my mic now. So I'm speaking to Roman Grendel, and Roman, you're driving a little bit of a different car, obviously with all these Japanese cars. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, yeah, we're running the Audi S3. It's the not original four-wheel drive car. It's now is the front-wheel drive car because we're using the sequential gearbox. The car is like pretty much new build for us, so we're still struggling to get it in the pace. We can't use the full power at the moment, but we would like to try to go. We got a bit of the problem with the heat. We try to sort it out, do as much miles as we can, as much time as we can to build up and improve the car. Probably that's it. So
it's the first year with the car then?
It's the second after Cardwell Park, but the Cardwell was, well, the condition was too bad, so we just haven't got the opportunity to get everything from the car what we can. So we're using the car like now for the testing and see what we can get.
Not quite a standard Audi either, is it?
No. No, we'll try our best with that, so we will see. But definitely interesting car, so in the late of the season they will be pushing, ready for push.
Yeah, it's really great to see different cars on the lineup as well, so good luck to you. Hope you sort your gremlins.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Let's take a look at what's happening on track then. Terry Hill, you can see on your screens in the red Nissan 350Z. Actually, this is a Fair Lady Z Z33 chassis imported from Japan in 2006. And Terry Hills then coming from a drifting background, knowing this chassis very well and thinking, look, I want to build a speed car, I want to build a grip car. All the usual suspects have been done to death. Let me actually go and build a Z. And he has entered this into Clubman class. Now, what that means is your permitted level of modifications are fairly few. What that means is he's got a tiny little Nismo body kit. He's going to match that Nismo red paint. He's got a Nismo 1.5 way limited slip differential, HSD coilovers, and the tiny bit of permitted weight reduction that you can have in Clubman. Again, Clubman is a really mild modification class, and his build then is supported by IA Motorsport Cage Services and Novus Financial Solutions and Emerald Plumbing, and Terry Hills there then making the jump from the world of drifting into the world of speed events here at Time Attack today. Let's have a look. David Lawrence then on your screen just ahead of Tim Bedford in that Mazda RX-8. David Lawrence then coming back this year in the Cupra. In the Mini Challenge 210, Tim Bedford then in the Mazda RX-8, who we know and love from his previous endeavors in the Subaru Impreza Pro Extreme machine with its WRC styling in our Pro class. James Dover there in the Porsche 911 GT3 on your screens. Actually, while we're here, let's take a little look at the Renault Sport Clio then, the red machine of, where is he on my list? There we go, Stephen Wilkinson. So we saw Stephen Wilkinson being interviewed with Susie a little bit earlier today. Stephen Wilkinson with a Clio RS, which he's built with the support of Virus Recruitment, prepped by GR Performance with a custom production gearbox. He spent 2 years in Run What You Brung and has now made the move into Time Attack Pocket Rocket Championship. Checkered flag comes out. Let's have a look at our results. Samuel Pickering then right at the sharp end again with a 52.2 ahead of Neil Greenland, ahead of David Dyson in the Porsche 911 GT3. So that battle developing nicely in Club 2-wheel drive, just ahead of Jonathan Ellsworth. So actually Neil Greenland, David Dyson and Jonathan Ellsworth are top 3 Club 2-wheel drive finishers, split by a mere 0.6 seconds. Very, very close there. Then we have Arturas Axurias, 5th overall and 2nd in class with a 53.6. Then we have Ross Walker, 4th in class, 6th overall with a 53.7. Kevin Thieker, Andrew Kime, James Dover, Sean Amara, both of these in Honda Integra Type Rs. Then we have Johnny Fletcher. Then we have, let's have a look. So those are our top 11. Then we've got Boston, Lawrence, Martin, Butcher, Taylor, Birch, Hawes, Blundell, Brooks, Hills, Bedford, Stott, Moon, Eden Young, Wilkinson, and Hopwell. Those are our 27 finishers here at practice in the Time Attack Club classes. It's a lot of names, it's a lot of cars. I can't get around to covering every single one of those. So if there are drivers and teams you want to follow more closely, please, please, please consider going onto your favorite search engine. If you have such a thing, if you're that much of a nerd like me, go on your favorite search engine, put in TSL timing, and you will get live timing, even better than what I have here with the little interactive map where you can choose your favorite driver and just see their progress around the circuit in relation to the other drivers around them. Loads of data, loads of insights, really cool tool to have, and it just makes following the motorsport that much more involving. So I strongly recommend that. I actually have a laptop here with TSL timing open on it as well. Just makes things that little bit more juicy to follow. Timing screens are then cleared as we get ready for our pro cars to head out onto the track. And actually what you can see there perhaps in the background, what I can definitely see is the machine of Tegawa Racing, the Honda Integra Type R BTCC winning car. This car being driven by Luke Senchikovsky, who did run a Honda NSX powered by an NT4 engine, which was freshly built by Born HPP, sadly having gone through some teething troubles yesterday, and now they're bringing out their spare car, which just so happens to be a BTCC winning car. Again, the Honda Integra DC5, one of the best handling front-wheel drive chassis of the modern era, and that's just that's just what happens to be their spare machine. Again, the guys at Tegawa Racing are absolutely living the dream where they bring a Honda NSX as their main car, a car that they've lovingly Japanese feel, and with Tsuki having broken down, they've now brought out their spare machine, the BTCC Integra Type R, decked out in the period correct Halford's livery in full 2005 race winning glory. So there we go. That's one of the cars I'm most excited to see. It didn't manage to qualify yesterday, didn't run in the final yesterday. So this is probably going to be the first time that we're going to see it stretching its legs. Do remember that this is practice only, so this session does not score any points. There you go. There's the BTCC car on your screens now. It's like we're in a time machine all the way back to 2005. And this is the beauty of a time attack. You go to brand new GT3 machine, mixing it up with a period 2005 BTCC machine. And this is the beauty of Time Attack. Bear in mind that the BTCC machine is here as a spare for the Honda NSX. Again, one of the finest, rarest driver's cars ever made. So the variety of cars at Time Attack, again, next level, never disappointing. And there you go. So the BTCC car, hot on the tail of the Phil Reed machine, the Pace Ward Nismo GT3. Those of you who followed for a while will know I get very frothy at the mouth of a mention of a I'm doing it now. At the mention of a fast Nissan, and of course, if Pace Ward brought here this GT3 car. I mean, look at that. That Halford's machine on your screens now is ultimate 2005 flashbacks. Yet here it is. Then you see the GT3 in shot, and you think this is 2005 and 2001. This is like a best of compilation. All these awesome race cars of true pedigree, mixing it up with these home-built creations, shop-built creations, everything mixing it up. Let's have a look at some of our times then. Andrew Barber traveling a whole 12 hours to get to Brands Hatch, putting in a fastest lap of 53.4. Bearing in mind this is only practice and this is some very expensive machinery, so these drivers are unlikely to take any unnecessary risks right now until there are serious points on the line. So we perhaps won't see these drivers really performing at the maximum because they're keen really to preserve their cars for when it matters. They don't want to risk binning it, they don't want to risk it breaking down, so they will be looking to minimize strain. They may be looking to minimize track time as they build up to the finals, which score them the big points. Darren Spooner then on your screens now in the Spooks Motorsport Honda-powered Peugeot 205. Again, the variety just it doesn't stop here at Time Attack. So not only do you have all of that other wonderful stuff, you've got the Peugeot 205 powered by a Honda engine, no less, built by Spooks Motorsport, pretty much the ultimate fast Peugeot specialist in the UK. And you can see then Colin Dorward and it's going toe-to-toe with a purpose factory-built Nismo GT3 car, being the number 33 Nissan Nismo GTR GT3. Of course, rear-wheel drive in contrast to the road-going car, and doing exceptionally well here at Time Attack. And I must say, GT3 in sports cars is one of my favorite classes here at Time Attack. Reason being, you look at it in the past and you think, look, how does this how do purpose-built race cars fit in with Time Attack, which is all about modifying your car, right? That doesn't make any sense. So you might think at first. But actually, when you think about it, it makes sense. When a GT3 car is built, it is then having to comply to a rule book to be eligible for parity in FIA competition. And every so often, not only that, but the rule book changes as well, which means that these cars are no longer competitive and or are no longer eligible. So you have these amazing, magnificent cars that when running are either running restricted and are then no longer allowed to run whatsoever. So they sit there gathering dust. We'll come back to that. I think we might have Susie in the pit lane. What have you got for us, Susie?
Yeah, I'm down here talking with Andrew, who's driving a Mini in the Clubman, and you're also having a good day today.
Yeah, it's not been a bad day. Weather choices at the start of the day made tyres a bit difficult, with it being so greasy. Went out on my wet set, dried up through the session, so I lost a bit of time by the end. Went out on the Trophy ORs last session, and seem to have brought it back.
But you had a little bit of a story to tell with getting some tyres for today.
Yeah, so with it being wet all weekend, or
I think, and this is entirely autobiographical, I understand this having run here for a few years. Look, to do a season of Time Attack, to even do a round of Time Attack itself, never mind winning and coming first and being fast and all of that stuff, just do a round. Just do the full season. It is such an achievement in its own right. So I always have a big respect for drivers who are committed to the cause, and Andrew Hawes there being one of them in this mini challenge 210. Let's have a look at what's happening on our timing screens then. Colin Dorward still the fastest then with a 48.1, just getting dangerously close to the 48-second barrier. Very quick indeed. You may remember we just had some other race cars on there, and they were running not as quickly as this, but in around the same ballpark. So these are very fast cars indeed. Then we have Phil Reed in the Nismo GTR GT3 with a 48.4, just 3 seconds between our two front runners. Again, one of them was once a fully road-going dealership bought Mitsubishi Evolution with a little tax disc and number plates. Yet here you go. You can see it today going toe-to-toe with a current spec GT3 car. And as I was mentioning earlier, the GT3 in sports car and prototype class then, it allows these cars that are no longer eligible anywhere else to come and run. And not only that, the organizers then say, hey, you know how you always had to run with restrictor plates and success ballast and all of that stuff? Well, why don't you just not do that? This is Time Attack after all. We allow and encourage modification. Why don't you take this GT3 car and really just turn it up to 11, not even 11, 12, and come and bring your GT3 car here to Time Attack. So we see some really cool GT3 based builds. We have the Nismo here today. We've had Luke Clayton's faster machine in the past, the Bentley Continental GT3. Some really cool stuff. Fastest remains fastest ahead of Phil Reed. Bearing in mind this is only practice, so it's hard to read any kind of form into this just yet. Then after that we have the single round entry, the number 59 Pro Extreme car of Andy Hughes, the X-Shift Subaru Impreza. Then we have Andy